All right, you guys ready? I'm ready. Here's our deal. We got a back-to-back speaker going on, so I've got to try and end about 5 minutes before so we don't disrupt that speaker. But here's the deal. All of us run restaurants, yes?
Yes.
How many restaurant owners do I have? Restaurant owners. Some bitch. Ready? You want something done right, what do you say? Do it yourself. How many times have you hired a manager hoping, praying that they are going to understand what you want? That they have something, this really awful word called common sense. Who's the idiot that opened up the restaurant today? Who's the idiot at dusk that has the lights on like we're a frickin' cafeteria? Right? You think, oh, that's common sense. Well, I got news for you. There is no such thing as common sense. Then the other part I want to tell you is if you walk in your business and you're calling your employees, especially your managers, idiots, I want to remind you something. Who chose them? Who hired them? Who trains them? Who manages them on a daily basis? I don't think all the people in our workforce are idiots. I think you create idiots by not being specific and clear on what your expectations are. That's the systemization of your business. Today we're going to talk about how do we create a highly functioning management team. How do we actually have one? There are some of you in here right now as restaurant owners who do everything yourself. And I'm going to tell you there's so much to do in the restaurant business. There's so much to do that you will fail. Meaning you may make money, but you cannot do everything. Like if we start talking about taking inventories and scheduling on budget, oh, nasty word, budget. We talk about training, we talk about marketing, we talk about compliance issues, inventory management, cash flow management. Oh, and you have to do it all at the same time. There's too much. We need to learn how to share. And my control freaks, you got to realize if you get somebody to do it 85% as good as you, you've hit a home run. They will not be as good as you. So we're going to finish today with just a little one slide on accountability, which is a nasty word, and I'm going to turn it around to answerability, a positive. So today is how do we create that highly functioning management team? Now, how many people have seen me speak before, see me on the internet? Just a couple. Look, why are you sitting here? All right, just a couple. That's good for me. So I'm going to click on these things, get them all open up. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is David Scott Peters. I grew up my family's restaurant and catering business back in Linwood, New Jersey, where I worked for the toughest manager I know. Anybody work for your mom? Yep, sucked, hated every minute of it. Why? Because my mother would ride my sister and I twice as hard as anybody else, said there'd be no favoritism. While I hated it, because I was a teenager, she did me a favor. Every job after, I elevated like nobody else because I had a work ethic like nobody else. Now, I took those skill sets. I worked for a company called Coyote Springs Brewing Company Cafe in the early 90s when brew pubs were opening one a week. We're seeing that resurgence right now. Hopefully, we as an industry realize we can't just be beer geeks. We need great food, great service. But they were opening one a week. Our first location was a cash cow, hand over fist money. I mean, you want to make money, brew beer. Our second location was much like owning a boat. Anybody own a boat? A hole in water in which you throw money. As one made it, the other one sucked it dry. And this is where I developed what I call restaurant operational smart systems. Simple, measurable, applicable, repeatable, trainable. And the key is systems have to be simple and trainable, or how the hell do you get them to do it? I left there and went to work for a company, a franchisor called Famous Sam's, a 30-unit restaurant sports bar chain in Arizona as a franchisor. Director of operations. Guys bought the company, went to take it public, brought an operations team, opened 8 stores. We're going gangbusters. In under a year, they damn near bankrupted the company. As everyone left, I'm like, I'm not sitting on the sinking ship. So I started consulting and working at Scottsdale Culinary Institute, management, human resources, wines, and spirits. So my chefy types don't talk to me about food quality. I have zero knife skills. I'm horrendous. But I want to tell you this. With the right systems in place, I can run any of your kitchens. I can order on budget. I can order based off PARs. I can schedule off staffing guides. I can schedule off budget. I can open and close every station off a checklist. What I can't do is cook. So when we talk about the systemization of your business, systemizing, this is why chain restaurants kick our ass. My son who worked for a Yum Brands, a Taco Bell, 14,000 restaurants with no owners in them. How do they do that? They impose their will without being there. There is a system, a process, a way to doing anything and everything in your business. We get rid of that nasty word called common sense because that don't exist. It doesn't exist. Now, while I was teaching at Scottsdale Culinary Institute, management, human resources, wines and spirits, I was consulting, and the minority shareholders of Famous Sam's were one of my clients. Kept asking me to come back. I said, no, no, no. About 2 months before my first child was born, I said, okay. And I walked into a disaster. Company should have been bankrupt, done. And I was given the goal to turn the company around and sell it in 5 years. I missed that goal by 3 months. I know what it is to be an independent operator. I know what makes a chain successful. It's my job to give you the same systems and tools that chains use without losing our independence. We love our guests, we love our employees, but we are going to do what they do well, and that's make money. Now, for the last 16 years, you look at the bottom of the slide, I just literally 2 months ago sold my controlling shares of the restaurantexpert.com and our software with Smart Systems Pro, where we developed what I think is the industry's leading software for operating your business. They are now here in a name change on booth 1543, I think, under Restaurant Systems Pro. I'm going to highly recommend it. It was my baby. But now I'm on my own. I've started DavidScottPeters.com, a restaurant training company, meaning I'll have video trainings for you and spreadsheet solutions. And I'm now a partner in a restaurant accounting firm, so you never know where your life is going to take you, right? But I'm still doing what I love, and that's helping restaurants just like you make a change. Now, here we go. What are we going to cover? These 4 quick things. How many managers do I need? How we're going to build that team, simple strategies, and how we grow that. And I'm going to talk really, I don't care if we put together this team. If you don't communicate with them, who cares? So we're going to go through 7 basic, simple steps that we think are basic, that we think are simple on a manager meeting. Because manager meetings are not, I talk to my manager every day. That ain't a meeting. Okay, we're going to talk about how we use that. Now, here's the deal. By the way, if anybody has not given the Restaurant Association a business card or filled out a white card, I'm going to send you the PowerPoint. I'm also going to give you a free eval for your accounting, so make sure you've done that. Where do we find good managers? That's the first question. I get asked that all the time because we have a big challenge right now. We have under 4% unemployment. There's not one of you that's not short a cook right now. I don't care if you take a bus load and put it right when the prison, the exit, to bring your staff back to, right? None of you have ever had anybody in the prison, right? DUIs, it's simple stuff, it's easy. But the fact of the matter is we're all short. And then we talk about management. These people are supposed to be mind readers, these idiots, right? To a person in this room, if you're an independent, you have hired a chain manager once, thought they would fix everything, abdicated all the responsibility, and they fail because you didn't provide your system, your process, your way, and you were unwilling to hold them accountable. So I'm going to tell you right now, you don't find good managers. You don't find them. You create them. Now, do know, some of us don't have what we need in order to get this done. Here are, again, I'm going to send you the PowerPoint. Here's a list of websites that have been working for most people today. And this will change. It will also be very different. If you're in a small town, Indeed.com is not going to work for you. There's nobody. Craigslist is still the place to go. If you're in a big city like Houston, an Indeed is, and they've got a booth here, great, because these other websites, ZipRecruiter and so on, they actually do some personality profiling. They make sure the person not only has the skill sets, but do they fit your culture? That's really, really important. But here, what'd I tell you? I don't like this because I don't think you find a good manager. Don't get me wrong. Some of you feel like you don't have enough talent on your team to possibly ever become a manager. Not those idiots. No way in hell would I give them keys to my restaurant. I'm going to bend that belief in just a second. But understand, if you got to go outside, here's what we're going to do. Now, what I believe is you're going to find your best candidates inside your restaurant right now. I believe that people who work for you right now, you know about them. They know your company culture. You know if they're a fit. Because here's the deal. If somebody is not a culture fit for your restaurant, they're a pain in your ass. And the problem is, for us, is to run short-staffed and have the wrong people on my gosh darn team. Keep them. We're afraid, what if I'm short-staffed? I'd rather run short-staffed than have the wrong people on my gosh darn team. Want to know? Love-hate relationship. Ready? The word Yelp. Right? For some of you, you're like, oh, I got 5 stars. I'm awesome. Some of you are like, those bastards, they don't know. That's not my customer. That's bull. That's wrong. See, the problem is where there's smoke, there's fire. See, it's that one employee. You got great staff. You got 40 incredible employees in one butthole, excuse my French. And you're afraid to fire them because who's going to run that station? And every day, one customer at a time, they piss off a guest, tear your business apart. So don't be thinking Yelp is this terrible thing. They're actually giving you live input. And you have to listen. You have to react to every one of them. So this goes back to keeping the people we know we don't like. Well, bottom line is, if you've got great training systems in place, anyone has an opportunity to become a good manager if they fit your culture. So how do we do this? Clicker, here we go. Now, here's the deal. Every one of us right now are thinking about that one employee, maybe two, that you're thinking, if I go home right now, I'm going to talk him into become a manager. How many people in your career have talked a line employee, literally sat them down and put the hard sell on, talked them into becoming a manager? How many of us done that? The rest of you lie. Bull. You know it. Oh, I love this person. They're awesome. And sit down. Don't you want to become a manager? No. Yeah, you do, don't you? Oh, you're awesome. We'll do that. Oh, I got to support you. Uh-huh. No. Okay. And you take your very best employee and make them your worst in 6 months to a year, they are fired or quit. Like your very best employee who you loved because you recruited them to become a manager, they suck. You know why? Because they were never meant to be a manager. It was never, but you, oh, and you know what? You're attracted to people who are like you. If you fill a full management team of you, you're going to fail because there's all this other stuff that doesn't get done. I'm not an organized person. That's a learned behavior for me. I need somebody who's anal retentive, make sure all the I's, T's, HR is done, dates are not missed, so on and so forth, right? I need people in the back who have culinary schools. I don't have culinary skills. I suck, right? So we've got to have a right balance on the team. Well, there are people on your team right now in a lower position, and here's what I want you to do. I'm going to teach you step by step how to identify these people, how to bring them on, more importantly, how we're going to audition them to become a manager. They will never be offered a job. Because what do? Tell me this doesn't happen in the restaurant business. Titles are for banks. But in the restaurant business, the moment you go, you're a manager, bling, oh my God. Oh, I got people to do work now. I'm a manager. Oh, well, just means you work more hours. Good, congratulations. Right? So, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your best employee, I want to think about your worst, and let both of them apply. The one employee you swear you'd never give him the keys of your restaurant, not that idiot. See, some people act out. Think of junior high school, the class clown. Often the smartest person in the room, didn't have the best grades, they were bored. You've got great people on your team that are so stinking bored of walking the same circle, doing the same thing every single day. So don't go say to somebody, go do this. Don't tell somebody they can't. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to post in Server Alley, where your bulletin board is, special projects. Anyone interested in helping with special projects? Man, we need checklists, we need budgets, we need ordering systems, training systems. There's plenty for you all to do, right? If you spent even half the time here, one speaker to the next, you're going home with a whole crap load of stuff that's got to be done, yes? You need help. You cannot get it all done yourself. Because you cannot get it all done yourself. There's not enough time in the day. So you're going to have things done. So now what people do is they raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested. You're great. You're going to work on checklists. You're going to help me work on a new menu. You're going to help me work on design. You're going to help me on a marketing calendar. You're going to help me on budgets. And you're going to train them. You'll be over the shoulder. And of these people, someone's going to suck. Someone is just going to be horrendous. Right? Just can't do it. You say, hey, thanks. Thanks. I didn't fire him. I didn't write him up. I didn't tell him he did a bad job. Thanks, I don't need your help now. I got it now. Right? There's no egos to be bruised. They had no idea they were interviewing. Had no idea. Somebody's going to do a great job. And I'm going to go, hey, man, you did a great job. You ever thought about becoming a manager in training, an MIT hourly supervisor, shift super, I don't care, hourly manager? It's going to go, no. And there's no way in hell I'd ever do what you do. Great. Was worst case scenario. I got good stuff done. I had a good employee, wanted to do more, got stuff done. Go to another person, you did really great. You ever thought of becoming a manager? I don't know. Look, you're a server, 2 days a week on the floor, plain clothes manager. You still keep your Friday, Saturday night money makers. What? You mean I'm gonna get paid a higher wage for those shitty shifts, and now I can do a little bit more, and I keep my money makers? Yeah. And you may get a yes. You understand? We're allowing the employees to tell you they're interested in doing more. We're auditioning them doing more. We're seeing if they do a good job doing more, and if they don't, we just move them aside. If they do, we have an opportunity to bring them into our management team at the ground floor. Not a manager, a supervisor, manager in training, shift lead, don't care what you call it, hourly management. Everybody understand that? I haven't anointed a manager. I've brought on a supervisor who's got to learn. I like the term MIT, manager in training. So now, what's beautiful about this is what? We're going to talk about budgets in a second. So some of you don't have money for managers. I'm going to show you how you use MITs to make that happen. What about, do we not lose managers all the time for good and bad reasons? Right? You've got the kitchen manager that's just yelling and screaming, and you want to put a bolt in their head, and you finally do. And every employee in the world comes out of the woodwork. Why'd you wait so long? You're like, thought everybody loved him. Right? And then you got people who get married or another job, or my favorite is they want to get a real job because what you do is not real work. Want to be a teacher, they want to be an investor, something else, real work. So people leave. Yes, we have turnover. When I have MITs, I always have trained replacements on my system, my process, my way. It's not when Anthony leaves me and I developed him. He knows the ordering. He knows onboard process. He knows the POS system. And when he leaves, we go, oh my God, he's the only one who knew how to order. He's the only one who knew how to use the POS system. He's the only one. You ever been there? Yeah. Which often means we keep bad managers way too long on our team because we're simply afraid of, I don't have enough hours. If I lose that person, who's going to do that work? So when I have managers in training, they're all learning the system, the process, the way, and we keep moving them up through the cycle. So if you want to find your next managers, they're actually on your team right now. Even the person you swear you'd never make a manager because they're bored. We add structure and training, we can get there. Now, how do I afford them? How many do I need? Now, I'm going to go very quickly on this. It starts with a nasty term called a budget. Now, for the only 3 people that seen me speak before, if you ever see me speak, like now, I'm going to tell you the 2 most important things, 2 most important systems any restaurant should have are budgets and recipe costing cards. Budgets and recipe costing cards. Let me ask you, what's the 2 things most independent restaurants never have? Budgets and recipe cards. Why? They're so hard. Boo frickin' who? You pick the toughest industry I know. Cry me a river. If you don't have recipe costing cards, how the hell can you tell me I don't know why I'm not making money? Name an industry doesn't know what it costs them to make it, to sell it. But ours, we get chef in the window. What's today's special? Oh, it's fettuccine Alfredo with shrimp. What do we charge, chef? $13.95. You're kidding me. Right? If your chef says, I generally know what the protein costs, I generally know what my carbs cost, and so on, side dishes, you generally ain't making money. Which brings us all the way back to budgets. Restaurant owners, you had a budget once. Do you remember when it was? You're sucking up to a bank for money. And then they've never looked at it again. No, I'm sorry, you looked at it a year later on your anniversary. You open it up and go, what was I thinking? That's not a budget. A budget is a living, breathing creature that every month gets updated and we change. We proactively manage our business, change the targets we need. So I'm going to tell you right now, when we talk about labor, I don't have time to go through prime cost, total cost of goods sold, plus total labor costs. I can tell you if you do $850,000 a year or more in sales, gross sales before discounts are taken out, not including sales tax, your prime cost target is now 55%, not the industry average 65. If your sales go up, we're going to go lower. If your sales are lower than 850, 60% is my number for you. And based on your core values, how you run your business, you're going to run a higher food cost, lower labor costs, higher labor costs, lower food costs. But I don't care. based on your core values, where you are. Because I got news for you. I'm assuming everybody's from Texas. I'm going to tell you right now, $15 minimum wage is coming. It's not if, it's when. You're still playing with tip credit. You can still have a $2.13 an hour server. Count your blessings. Make as much money as you can because it's going to change. It's not if, it's when. The coasts are already playing the game. So I don't care if you're in California or you're in New York at $15 minimum wage, I still give you 55 points. So understand there's a lot we can do in our operations. So those of us who are not operating with a budget, I will go on a exception of these guys, because they've already been through a 4-day workshop with me, 3-day workshop. Most of us don't operate on a budget. If there's 3 of you out here, it'd be amazing. Okay? How do you know what success looks like? We're using industry averages. National Restaurant Association says the average food cost is 34% for a restaurant. 32, 33% for labor. Well, 34 plus 33 is a 77% prime cost. I want you at 55. Industry averages don't work. So you set your targets based on your core values, your price point, your style of service, where you're located. And then when we create this budget, you can't possibly know where you're supposed to be, because here's an example of a barbecue restaurant outside of Chicago. In April, does $165,000 in sales. June, $420,000. $224 in November. And because I'm trying to shoot for a 28, almost 29% raw labor cost before taxes, benefits, insurance, so it's probably a 32, 33% on your budget, your P&L, that look at the labor percentage each month. See, some of you see a jick-jack like me at stage and go, oh, I'm a restaurant expert. By the way, what makes me a restaurant expert? Is there a restaurant expert certification? Is there a restaurant expert degree? Or did one morning I woke up and go, I'm an expert? That's it. Right? So just because I start quoting the NRA doesn't make me the brightest guy in the world. So if you go home and you see a speaker like me and go, 32%, 32%, and you're in a month that's supposed to be 19, you're losing thousands. If you're a month that's higher, call it 34%. Why? Why is this important? How many people are seasonal? Not just a little bit, but like a major season. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So in the off season, comes around every year, we grab a paper bag and go, oh my God, how am I gonna make payroll? This shit happens every year, same time. Like it's not magic. If I had a budget, I could plan the cash flow for that time. But here's the deal. When I'm off season and my sales are lower, my salaried managers still get paid the same amount of money. Notice, $22,000, $22,000, $22,000. So it sucks up all my money. And then we reach something called minimum staffing levels. I only got one cook on the line. I got one server and me. That's what the manager's saying. Why are you yelling at me? My labor cost is too high. What do you want me to do? Right? Then we've got in season. So easy to run. Managers in the room. When you hit your labor target in season, you didn't do anything. The customers manage your efficiencies. You're so busy, you're on a 2-hour wait. You can't add another cook. You can't add another server, can't add another host. You have the money, but you can't add. You're at maximum staffing levels. Now what happens to my budget? My salaried managers become a really small percentage of sales. Now I'm at maximum staffing. I don't need as much money. So those of you running your business off a national average every single month, you're crazy. Your managers are looking at it like, what the hell is your problem, owner? Have you walked in this building? Do you see what's happening? By the way, if we had more time and went into labor deeper, I'm going to tell you I have a different labor target by day of the week. Because you had your ass handed to you over the weekend, you got all this prep to do on Monday, it's all about production and you ain't got no any sales. So we've got to budget those. That's for another talk. Okay? So understand, budget. What we've got to do is, we've got to put this together so we know how much money we can afford, so at the end of the year we hit our prime cost target. We'll have a different prime cost target month after month after month. But at the end of the year, because I looked out 12 months, that's what I'm supposed to make, I'm there. Now, this would be how we determine how many shifts you have. Assuming in this restaurant you're open for lunch and dinner, I need a plainclothes manager every shift. Understand, In a perfect world, which we do not live in, there is a manager on duty to take care of table 24 or the customer at the window or whatever you've got to take care of the employee, to run off, get something. There needs to be a grown-up in charge. Some of you just leave the keys to your best employee and pray. Oh, and they're also a server at the same time. And now they're 7 tables deep, they're in the weeds, and table 22 in another section needs to see a manager, and you go, just comp them. Right? Is that great customer service? I'd like to see a manager. Oh, well, they're too busy. Right? You want to build business, there needs to be a grown-up in charge. Now, quick serve, your manager is working a line position during the rush. It's just the way it is. There's not a restaurant to walk through and do. It's a different flow. The flow starts at the register and goes to the kitchen and comes back. Yes? Okay. Now, if I look at this and I say I want to cover all this, how many shifts? Well, notice I have 2 mid shifts. You all know what a mid shift is, yes? In between, middle of the day. Because in a busy, busy restaurant, let's say you're a $2 million restaurant, Fridays are kick-ass, happy hour is unbelievable. I've got my morning manager comes in early, works through happy hour, works a long day. Mid-level manager comes in 11, 12 o'clock, works till 9, 10 o'clock. Nighttime manager comes in like 3, 4 o'clock, works till 3 a.m. At one point in time when I need it, I've got 3 managers on duty. One's at the front, one's in expo, and the other one's walking around. Oh, bartender needs Jack Daniels, so table 22 needs. Can you comp? Can you do? Can you do? Think about it. In a perfect world, if you could extend yourself that well, would you not give better service? Would you not have chaos? Would you not be a chicken with your head cut off? Like, oh my God, we're so busy. We never will be again because we suck. Right? Everything needs to be paced. Somebody has to lead the team, and it takes multiple people. Now, some of you may not be busy and need these mid shifts, but if I look at this, then what do I need? I need 16 shifts covered. Some of you are thinking, damn, I'm the owner and I work 7 days a week. How the hell am I going to do that? I don't have the money for that. See, this is where I take you back to budget. We have to plan for success. If I need to add management to the team, where's the money coming from? Hey, I got to work with my kitchen. We need to lower our food cost. I work with the bar. We got to reduce staff to come up with a cocktail menu, increase the ring at the register so I can reduce my labor cost. That's why prime cost is the one number you must know. We do not focus on just food costs or cost of goods sold and labor. They're together. Don't ever leave one of these shows hearing a speaker and focus on the one thing, because your management team, how many of you right now, your team in your restaurant at all levels or any level knows you're here today and you're going to go to education sessions? Raise your hand. I love you all. Tell me tomorrow when you walk in the restaurant, oh shit, they went to another seminar. Right? Because you go, I saw this guy, David Scott Peters, and we're going to do this and this and this. They're like, the no birds come out. No, we're different. Don't ever tell me you're different. What do you serve with a limp? We got people and product. We're in hospitality, man. There ain't nothing different, any one of you. Now, the label, the envelope of how you serve and what you serve is different. It's the same business, creating memories for people. So now, if we look at this and say 16 shifts, right? 16 shifts. How do we get there if you don't have a budget? So let's walk through that. First example is a traditional restaurant. A traditional restaurant thinks I need full-time managers all the time. Perfect world, I have at least 3 full-time managers. Does that sound right? Most of us are brought up that way, yes? Now, the positive of 3 full-time managers is you got a lot more, it's a lot easier for you to hold people accountable because that's their full-time job. They're not a server, a bartender, a cook, and a manager. The downside is you better have 3 good people. And right now, most of you are like, damn it, I've only got 1 when I'm lucky. And one of the reasons why you don't have a full management team that's good is if you don't have your systems, your processes, your ways documented on what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, more importantly by when, then you got people reading your mind, using common sense, and they will never meet your expectations. They will never rise to where you want them to be, and it's your damn fault. There's a system, a process, a way to doing everything. I'll tell you right now, if you worked for me, there's only one way to count a bar drawer back to $300. My way. I don't care if my way takes a half an hour longer than 3 other managers. But 3 other managers don't get to do their way, because why? I can train the next person on my way. When you leave, I can do it. I teach you. I can audit my way. I can control my way, ensure theft isn't my way. But look, I run what I call a democratic dictatorship. I want everybody's input. Still my way. I may decide to bend. I may think that's a great idea, because I do believe that nobody knows a job better than the person who stands there 8 hours a day. Not me, the owner, manager, oh, I know how this should be done. No, the person who stands there. But I'm going to impose my will. I still want it done my way. Restaurant owners, you have a God-given right to go bankrupt if you so choose. Right? Lead. Make a decision. Don't allow the no birds to stop you dead in the track. It's too hard. For the last 16 years, speaking all over the world, primarily North America, I come back. I got people say, David, it was great seeing you speak. 6 months later, they give me a call. David, it was really great to see you speak, but I can't get my managers to do it. What the hell does that mean? Who signs the paycheck? What do you mean I can't get them to do it? You decided you won't. Anytime any manager or owner says to me, I can't do something, I want you to rephrase it, say back to me, I won't. Because that's what you said. Or my favorite is, I tried. How many people have had anyone on your team fail at doing something, but told you they tried? Raise your hand. Fantastic. So here, do me a favor. You don't get to keep this, Anthony. You've probably seen me do this before, so just ready? I want you to try and grab the phone. Now, we're not playing, kung fu here. I'm not going to snatch the pebble thing. Just try and pick that up. Don't touch it. Try. Don't touch it. Try. You are not trying hard enough. What does try and get you? What does try and get you? Somebody tell me. Nothing. At the time, my 17-year-old daughter, who was 13 at the time, I do this bit with one of my buddies, goes, hey, Brooke, what does try and get you? 13 years old. Wait till you hear this frickin' wisdom. Awesome. Brooke, what does try and get you? I want her to say nothing. This young lady freezes, like, what does Dad want me to say? She says, trying leads to excuses. I'm like, I own that. That's mine. So good. Right? I tried. I don't care about try, there's only do. With the right training and support, your manager should never fail. With the right training and support, your manager should never fail, because there is one way to do things. So in this way, we hope to, in our budgets, have the money for this, but there is a problem with this. One is, when's the last time you had 3 strong people? Number 2, what happens in the off season when the bag, how am I going to pay payroll? Oh my God. And oh, by the way, those you pay every other week, what happens in the worst month of the year? 3 payrolls. Oh, I don't know if I can do money. If you had a budget, you'd know. You'd be able to plan that I need this many acorns to survive, that I got 3 payrolls in my worst month. Proactively manage your business. Not be surprised every time you look at a P&L, which is the past. Now, where most of us are going to start is right here. 2 full-time managers, whether you call a person a GM, an AGM, manager, front of house manager, I really don't care. Titles of our banks, what do they do? A second full-time manager, this is front of house only I'm talking about right now. And then look at this, 3 MITs. That's a bartender, a server, a line cook, that 2 days a week, plain clothes, manager on the floor. I'm a firm believer that 99% of the time, if we try and operate with a line employee to play supervisor at the same time in a full-service restaurant, because in a quick serve, it is going to happen that way, we're going to fail. Something's going to go wrong. Something is not going to go your way. The other part is, what happens in the off-season when I have these shift supervisors and I don't need the 2 extra shifts on Friday, Saturday? I cut them back. I actually create a fixed expense and start to put a variable aspect to it, that if I don't have the money and I don't need the labor, I can reduce it, thereby staying closer to my budget. Now, some of you Might be a $500,000 sandwich shop, $700,000 bar, restaurant, and you're thinking, I am the manager. Like, I don't have money for people. How the hell am I even going to get this done? And this is what I call shouldering management. This is a DSP term, David Scott Peters. I have my own language. Ask these guys. I got my own language. Some of it's not very good. We call those sentence enhancers. SpongeBob, I learned that from SpongeBob. All right, so here's the deal. Full-time manager. Sometimes if you do $500,000 a year or less in sales, owners, you are the GM. There's not enough margins in a $500,000 restaurant for you to have managers in there unless you do the Subway model and have multiple locations. Now I'll take a small piece of many. Now if you are the manager or you have a general manager, one person full-time, now, oops, hold on, there we go. Now I want you to look at this. 2 MITs. That is not 16 shifts, but it is 14. This means whoever you are that works this as the full-time manager has 0 life. Who here has worked a mid-shift in your life? Tell me it doesn't suck. There's not enough to do something in the day, in the morning, and there certainly in any time at night do anything. You have just sucked up my whole day. I get it. Been there, done that. So imagine you work 5 days a week, a mid. It's damn near doubles. The only difference is I have an MIT manager in training, supervisor, don't care what you call him, hourly, who comes in the restaurant at 7 a.m. to open it. Now, if you worked for me, I open a restaurant, 11 o'clock start. Opening for lunch is 7 a.m. start. There's things to do, to plan, to properly plan for a day to be successful. Okay? So now, they come in, work 3 hours. Most of you are going to start them at 8, 9 o'clock. So I roll in at 12 o'clock noon. And that hourly supervisor now punches out as a supervisor, changes from plain clothes, I want them to separate themselves, back into a uniform for a line employee, punches in at a lower rate, and starts working their shift. See, I'm shouldering. Now, when I go leave, instead of don't raise your hand, it's a rhetorical question. Those of you who grew your restaurant or are doing it right now, how many of you, rhetorical, do not raise your hand? Use something like this, but you have a bar. So at 10 o'clock, you throw your keys to a bartender. You're kidding me. You're allowing the fox to guard the hen house. They get a key to the register. They get manager functionality. Like, if you do this because you have to, you had better be paying attention to comp reports, void reports, transfer reports. If not, you are getting your ass handed to you. You never know. Oh, isn't it great? They closed for me so I can get an hour nap. Horrendous. So now I throw keys to them, but no, they punch out, change, punch back in. You're now a supervisor. I want that visual switch. So now I have the ability to run anything in between here based on my budget, how I'm going to pay for them, because you don't anoint managers like this. We may not have the money. So we start off with the plan with shouldering. And then when one gets developed, then we can increase our sales, reduce our cost of goods sold. We have more money, reduce labor costs. We add the salary. You understand? That your budget has everything to do with when you can do this, how you afford it. Any questions on that? Does this make sense? Yes. Okay, amen. I like her. She's good. All right. So now, we got 20 minutes. Because we got a 1 o'clock start right away. So I'm going to move a little bit here. Even if you've got managers, if you're not communicating properly, you aren't getting things done your way. Owners in this room, what is your number one wish that your managers do? Do things what? Your way. They get done what you've asked them to do. And all too often, we make the mistake. When my son was a teenager, preteen especially, Tyler, I want you to do this. You got it? Those of you who have kids, what's the first word out of their mouths? Yep, I got it. What would never get done? What I asked. Or if it got done, was it my way? No, because his response is yes to everything. Yep, I got it. He don't got it. Right? So we've got to make sure that we're translating what we want done and they're bringing it back to us. One of the best ways to do that is actually have manager meetings. Manager meetings are not, I see you every day. and we talk. These are planned. This is about proactively managing your business. What do you want to accomplish this week? What happened last week? And we'll go through this step by step. So here we go. Perfect world, which we don't live in, the cycle of it starts 3 places. Those of you who are partners, I don't care if you're husband and wife, father, son, mother, daughter, grandparent, and so on, partners. There's more than just you running the business. Even if one of you is not a day-to-day operator. If you guys don't walk in your restaurant with the same set of eyes, your managers hate you. You are now bad parents, and I learn who to work when I want things my way. And when I go to you, you don't give me time off, but when I go to you, I always get time off. You understand? They're your children. They figure out how to work because there's now inconsistency in the business. Case in point, you ever have managers, don't raise your hand because you're sitting right next to your owner. Have you ever, don't do it. Have you ever walked into business and one of the owners goes, why are the freaking lights so high? And you're like, because your partner 10 minutes ago reamed me and we lowered them. Right? We have different set of eyes on expectations on how to run the business. We're not on the same page, which is horrendous. So we start with step 1, a partner meeting. I'll walk you through the steps of the meeting here in a second. Monday, we're going to get all our inventories in and all of our data. So on Tuesday, we as owners, we get together and we have a manager meeting, meaning just the 2 of us, an owners meeting. And I'll walk through the agenda in a second. It's the same for both. We go over last week. We go over next week's expectations. Then we have a manager or key manager meeting, GM meeting. We say, here's what we did last week. Here's what we're going to do this week. We're on the same page, all ownership. This is what our goals are. It's what I want you to do. Then the next day, the GM runs their manager meeting. Owners, stop running their meetings. If you have a general manager in your business and you're an owner and you're running their meeting, you're the general manager. You have set up a manager to have no authority in that business. They're just another manager. Let them run their manager. I'm not saying you can't show up, but we're going to change it. So this is what I want you to start thinking about. So if you don't have partners, we can cut out a day. If you want to get 2 of these done in the same day, get 2 of them or 3 of them done in the same day. This is just a perfect world. Now here we go. Here's our cycle: proper planning, ensuring attendance, collect data, stay on track, facilitate versus command, assign specific actions, notes. Here we go. We're going to pick up a little speed here. Okay. Proper planning. This is important. On that Monday, you should be taking inventories, know your cost of goods sold. You should have last week's labor costs tracked. You should have all the new hires that you're expecting this week, when they're coming in, how many hours you're going to have. You should have a labor budget. You should have measurements from last week. Whether we use the hours supposed to, we went over budget, and so on. Oh, marketing calendar. In theory, we all should have next year planned already. We should not be getting up to a holiday going, what do we do on Facebook? No, you had a plan, right? We just have it coming up. We look at their past week results. We look at past weeks, what our goals were, and we plan for next week. The only way to run that meeting properly is that you plan. You cannot just show up, we're going to have a meeting, let's start talking. Because restaurant owners, if you're like me, I use a lot of words. Have you noticed? I don't run out of words. I can, without an agenda, which is next, I can make a 1-hour meeting 3 hours in a heartbeat. And then my manager's like, oh, especially the one that it's their day off every week, that you show no respect for, but you got to say words. Well, we're going to change that. So now, if we have proper planning, next, ensure attendance. Everybody's got to be there. Some of us in this room have designated a special manager. Special manager has special rules. See, when you started, it was just you and your husband, wife, or whatever. You did everything, and you needed a manager, and you're like, oh, you're really good with computers, but you're not really good with, and you invent a job. Oh, you have daycare, and really like, all right, so I got to have you out by 4 every day because you got to pick up your kid. Da, da, da. So now you have the manager meeting. You don't have to be there because of whatever. You get up in the middle of it at 4 o'clock, and everybody goes, what the hell is she leaving for? right? We created special managers. Look, I was a special manager. I didn't work as a bar manager. Friday, Saturday nights, every weekend, because I was doing improv comedy at the time. Are you kidding me? Like, I never worked a weekend. Ridiculous. So while people liked me, they resented me. They won't say it, but there's this underlying current. Why are you special? Why are you special? Nobody's special. So it means changes are coming. She doesn't have to be a bitch, but she's coming. We're gonna slowly shake up our culture, change it, and we may have people may not be able to be in the manager role anymore. They get a choice. So now, everybody's got to be there. And if you can, move the day by a day from time to time so it's not on the person's day off every single week. Next, collect data. This is really important. There is an agenda to every meeting. There is an agenda to every meeting. That means someone on the team who is anal retentive and organized gathers data. So if you have an employee issue you want to bring up, you tell me, it goes on the agenda. You want to talk about food costs? It's on the agenda. You got market, it's on the agenda. We create an agenda. If it is not on the agenda, it is not talked about. Owners, this is really difficult for you. When somebody brings up at the meeting, Sally, who yesterday just dumped a tray of beers, hit a customer. No, we can talk about that after the meeting. That's not on the agenda. We don't talk about it. It is not talked about. Next. Remember, I'm going to send you this PowerPoint. This clicker is no fun. Here we go. Key here, restaurant owners, managers, GMs. A manager meeting will go no longer than 60 to 90 minutes, period. Anything longer than 60 to 90 minutes, everyone is shut down in your table. Managers are looking at their phones. They're thinking, oh, I was supposed to go meet somebody. Already texting their spouse. Oh, shit, he's going off again. Maybe I'll see you in an hour. And then you go home and your spouse is pissed. Your significant other's pissed. Respect people's time. So we have an agenda. We have start time. We have a finish time. We respect it. No more than 90 minutes. That's really hard. Make sure you keep everybody focused. You stay on track. Now, this is what I want to do. This is one of my favorite things to communicate to a GM and an owner. Rhetorical question. Do not raise your hand. But how many of you run your meeting and tell everybody what's going on? Your food cost is, your labor cost is, your per cost is, your marketing is, you don't have enough, and you go through it, and you run the meeting, and you just expel all this air. That's not how I want it. See, if you work for me, you're on the agenda, and as an owner or GM, you speak 25% of the time. Hey, chef, tell me about what's going on. Well, my food cost is high because this, I missed an inventory, redid this, da-da-da. Hey, what's going on front house? We hired 3 new employees, we put in a new training, and these are our results. Everybody comes to the meeting with their information. They participate. I don't present them their numbers that they don't believe because it came from the magic accountant. They bring me their numbers. They tell me what went right or wrong and what they did to correct it if it went wrong. They are active participants managing their departments. You facilitate. You see the difference there? Owners, if you have a GM and you're ADD, you cannot not be at that meeting. Oh my God, what if they say something stupid? Show up and shut up. Every now and then interject, but it's your GM's meeting, period. Or you are taking all the authority away from them. Next. Here we go. Assign specific goals. How many times, rhetorical, have you asked the management team to do something so simple that the next meeting it was never done? Hey, we're going to change checkout with our servers, and we're going to make sure they run the report, and we're going to check off that all the credit cards are there and all the discounts. And we want to staple, and they say void on the gift card. So that's a new change we're going to make. Is that good? Oh, yeah. Everybody goes, yeah. Next week, what happens? Who did it? You need to make someone specifically responsible for making sure that gets developed, trained, inspected, that it's been done. So you got to take great notes, which is the next part. Notes. Because guess what? When you're done, whoever that organized person is, we document all of our notes. Let's talk about what we did last week. talk about what we're going to do next week, talk about, review our results. It all gets put into an email, sent off to every manager who was there, especially those who were not. Because now we've set up something called accountability. I assigned you to do that task, and as a general manager, I can follow up with my manager throughout the week to make sure she does it right. See, do not give things off and pray they get done right. And that's this nasty word called accountability. And here's what we're going to do. Come on, clicker. I think our clicker batteries are dying. There we go. Accountability is not a dirty word. But I want you to think about this. To most managers, if I said I'm going to hold you accountable, what do you think? It's a negative, and I'm going to hold your ass accountable. Tell me that does not have a negative connotation to you. Oh, hell yeah, it does. So we're going to change that. With the right training and proper supervision, I want to close with this. To me, accountability means answerability. And if I have manager meetings, and I've assigned specific tasks of what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when, and I follow up on those, I'm not a bad guy ever. Because look at this. This is David Scott Peters' definition of answerability. Answerability is the acknowledgement of responsibilities for your obligations, decisions, and actions, and how you are answerable for the resulting consequences. Your obligations, decisions, and actions. What are my obligations? My job. My J-O-B. It's one thing to say, hey, you're supposed to take inventory every Sunday night. It's another to make sure that, hey, make sure all invoices are input into your computer system every single day they come in, so all the prices are up to date. Any new batch recipes or specials, ingredients that have an inventory location and a value. All specials have been put in the system. Oh, any price changes have been updated. Organize things, make sure it is shelf-to-sheet inventory, so on and so forth. We go through all that, and then we take inventory. That's a part of inventory. Are you specific and clear, or do you just lob out, take inventory? Make sure you have enough people. Is it enough people in budget, following our staffing guides and so on? Right? Specific and clear. Now I can train them to that. And if I train somebody, let's say you work for me and I tell you do this thing, but I've never trained her, how do I hold her accountable? Don't leave this show seeing somebody like me speak and start yelling at your management team that they're supposed to do shit they don't know. I teach you. Now, when she shows me she's got it, I'm going to hold her accountable, answerable. For instance, you take inventory for the last 24 weeks. Would not be my expectation in week 25 you can take inventory? Like, you've demonstrated you got it. We're not in this, I don't know what's going on stage. So now, as a manager, I get to make a decision. Am I going to do my job or not? Understand, if I've been clear, I decide if I'm going to do my job. Because anything that, when I don't do my job, it's just an excuse. I tried. It's BS. I make a decision, do my job or not do my job. Next is my action. I'm now held answerable for the actions I take or I don't take. It's not you as the owner or GM yelling and screaming. Because when I sit with somebody, if he doesn't know, I never taught him how to do inventory properly, and it's wrong, and I start yelling, haven't you ever done inventory? This is bullshit. You got $32,000 in shredded cheese. Didn't you know that it was ounces and it was a case price, right? As a manager, I'm like, screw you, dude. Versus he knows, and if he doesn't do it because he just chose not to, I don't have to go, what is your problem? I go, dude, you didn't do your work. I'm going to write his ass up, and we're not going to have any conflict. He's going to be so embarrassed that either is he never going to happen again, or he's going to go find a new job. Either way, I win. I don't want the wrong people on my team. If I've been specific and clear, this is what has to happen. It's a non-negotiable in my business. Does that make sense? So when you look at putting together a high effective management team, you got to find the right people. They're already on your team. You got to give them the right training. You got to communicate with them. You got to hold them accountable, which means owners and general managers, your success when a management team is 100% reflection on you and your ability to manage people. We got a keynote starting in 5 minutes. If you did not give me your business card, please see one of the restaurant people in the back. They've got a bag. Fill out a white card. I will send you. If you have questions, I'll meet you on the other side of that wall in about 5 minutes. I do not want to disrupt the next speech. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody.